The fall of 1976, Goose Creek was very fortunate to have Gerald Ford attend one of our ball games. Gerald Ford was on campaign re-election, and we had some prominent, our superintendent here in Goose Creek, Johnny Clark, and George Wamsley had some far-reaching, very important people in Austin, very important people in Washington. They were able to convince Gerald Ford, who had taken over for Nixon. Gerald Ford was on campaign re-election and trying to shake hands, and he was here that Friday night at Stallworth Stadium, and it was just a very, very special time for Baytown. The most exciting thing was the team didn't lose focus. We were able to win the ball game. That was that team that I played on was a very, very good team at Lee. We were undefeated district champs and went on to play in the Houston Astrodome in the state playoffs that year. Aldine MacArthur High School, which at that time, MacArthur went through some great teams during the 80s and 90s, but they were not one of the better teams that year, so that helped us also, because they were not as good as they were in other years, and we really played that well that night. The other thing that really stood out as the entourage came to the stadium, we lost. I mean, we weren't doing our normal pregame before the ball game because of all of the pomp and circumstance of the president coming to town, and it was we lost our dressing room because that's where Secret Service and that was where all of the important Washington people and all the security and detail were there in our dressing room. So it was just a very, very cool thing to experience, and everybody was more worried about what the president was doing up in the stands instead of what we were doing on the field. In '76, wasn't a lot of helicopters running around for anything, and so yeah, that was definitely pretty special. And they actually had Secret Service on top of the press box. There was just a lot of detail and stuff like that, and probably the thing that it went without incident, and that was the whole deal. You know, I don't know that if they could ever do anything like that now. I'm going to say 3 or 4 years on Saturday Night Live, and even after, see, Ford lost that next Tuesday after he was in Baytown. The election was the first Tuesday in November, and Ford lost the election to Jimmy Carter. But even though he lost, they had that as the lead-in on Saturday Night Live with Ford and up at Stallworth Stadium with that. And so everybody always, at the beginning of it, was always, hey, there's that picture again. 77 graduate, that was the 76 football team. Yeah, it's October 29th of 76 is when the game was, and I graduated that next May.